All right, how's everyone doing today? How's the day been so far? Awesome, amazing. I'm super excited to welcome all of you here to this afternoon session. I'm very pleased to be joined by Joanna Ferreira and Ali Meland from Southwest. We are going to spend about the next 30 minutes talking about their ultimate time-saving hack, automating interview scheduling. We're going to talk through their problem. We're going to talk through Phenom's point of view, our approach, and then we're going to talk through customer outcomes. So, Joanna, Ali, over to you. Let's hear your story.
Great. Well, thanks so much, Luba. We're so excited to be here today. As he said, I'm Joanna Ferrara. Here's my cohort, Ali Meland. We are giving you a very high-level, 30,000-foot view, if you will, of TA at Southwest. It's made up of 300 remarkable individuals that work across core functions to support key initiatives. And just so you all know, in the last 18 months or so, our talent acquisition team grew by about 250%. We've been busy, right? We hired 18,000 people last year and are on track to hire 7,000 more new employees this year. And it's something that definitely wouldn't be possible without the people of Southwest, but I think also our partnership with Phenom. And as you see here, we've been proud partners of Phenom for the last 5 years. We've developed a lot of really key strategic initiatives to help support our candidate experience and recruiter experience at Southwest. From lead captures, our career site, nurturing our candidates, meeting them where they are through SMS, the chatbot on the career site, and of course, AI scheduling, which we're all here to learn a little bit more about today. So when we think about a problem statement, as we're looking at tools that can help provide solutions for us in this space, we are looking at a couple of these kind of pain points, right? I think for most of us TA professionals in the room, you're going to see some of these and nod in agreement that these are common pain points. And we're really glad to share that AI scheduling with Phenom really helped us overcome many of these challenges. So when we're looking at this tool, we loved how easily it's integrated within the CRM. Our recruiters have been in this tool since 2018 and therefore have that familiarity. And coming out of the pandemic and out of the hiring freeze that we had in 2021, there was a lot of change, right? We had to pivot so quickly, and we introduced a lot of new tools for our recruiters, and we really wanted to try and minimize that tool fatigue. So having that integrated CRM component for this tool really helped us there. It was a big impact. Then we looked at the opportunity for branded communications and customized workflows. Our candidates that interview for, say, our customer service representative positions, the communication that we want them to receive, the interview experience that we want them to go through is going to look a little different than that of our first officers, our pilots, sorry, or our flight attendants. And so the AI scheduling tool really equipped us to be able to customize communication, customize workflows. And then for us data nerds out there, we wanted to see the impact of the tool. Phenom has a robust reporting and analytics structure. For this tool, we're able to see how quickly our candidates are scheduling, how many requests are being sent out. We're going to show you some of those numbers towards the end of this presentation because we're just really, really proud of that. And then, of course, the candidate experience wins that Ali and I will dive into a little more detail as well.
Yeah, so speaking a bit to the buy-in and the need for AI scheduling, I want to share a little bit about what our scheduling process looked like before we implemented Phenom Scheduler. So prior to AI scheduling, we were using a very manual scheduling process that was lengthy and a bit time-consuming for our recruiters. To give you an idea of what that looked like, our recruiters would manually add their individual time slots into the system by cross-referencing with their Outlook calendar. After they did that, they'd go into either Phenom or ATS and export a list of the candidates they'd like to interview. They then upload that list into the system, and from there they can click and send out all of the invitations to the candidates they'd like to invite. But it didn't stop there. Recruiters would then need to check back in the system to see who's scheduled, put that time on their calendar, send out those confirmations. So you can see there is a big need for AI scheduling. And it was clear that with AI scheduling, we'd have a huge time savings impact for recruiters and give them back that time to make more personal connections with the candidates that they're speaking to.
So obviously, from our perspective, this isn't a story that we have, this is a story that we've heard multiple times and many times over. And from our, candidates absolutely want to make sure that their time is being respected. They've got a number of different things that they're working through, trying to figure out, going back and forth and trying to figure out what interview they're going to meet, how they're going to meet it, when they're going to schedule it, is something that they really don't want to spend a lot of time in. When you consider their application process, and then moving into scheduling, it does just take a lot of time to get through if it's being done manually. Interview experience is also subpar. When you have a very manual process, there's a lot of communication back and forth, either via email or over the telephone, to try to figure out what scheduling works. For those of you that are using a manual process, I know that my biggest pain point when it came to scheduling interviewing was I would get that time, I would go back to the candidate, we would go to schedule it, and then all of a sudden that time was no longer available in the hiring manager's calendar. And so then we would repeat that process all over again. And we would do it 2 or 3 times until we actually got to the point where we found a time that actually worked. So, and not just with the scheduling components, but recruiters and hiring managers have so many other different tasks that are on their plates. Being able to take that manual process out of their hands and automate it for them simply will give them more time to do other work that is value added to what they're trying to accomplish. And we know that talent is limited out in that marketplace as well too. And so running through that talent, making sure that we can get to the right talent as quickly as possible, helps us move our businesses along, helps us move our processes along, and ultimately creates a great experience for both candidates, hiring managers, and the recruiters themselves as well. We can't adapt as recruiters with the old tools that are out in the marketplace today. We need tools that allow us to increase the speed of candidate screening, and particularly the speed of that interview scheduling. Being able to do it in almost real time, being able to cut days out of that process impacts not just your business, but the experience across all candidates throughout the entire life cycle of your process. Since we launched the product in 2022, we've had almost 820,000 interview requests sent out through the system. Out of those 820,000 interview requests, we've had 550,000 interviews scheduled. And you can see our average time from request to actual scheduled is 0.64 days, as Mark had already mentioned. If an interview needs to be rescheduled, that number goes slightly up from the day that it was initiated to 3.95 days. So we are absolutely shrinking that interview scheduling time very significantly. When we looked at it from an hour saved, we've calculated that we've saved roughly 357,000 hours of recruiters' time since we've launched the product in 2022. 85% of the interviews that were scheduled, Phenom has saved 30 minutes. These are your simple interviews, your one-to-ones. And 15% of the interviews that Phenom has scheduled has saved over 90 minutes, which are your complex one-to-many, many-to-many interviews. And the last stat that I'll share with you, obviously you can see it, 34% of the interactions were actually done after working hours. And so while the scheduler has gone out, people have been able to go home, do the things that are important to them, while the tool's been working in the background to make sure that things were scheduled and ultimately continue to move forward from a recruiting process. And you want to, customer outcomes.
Yeah, absolutely. All great points. We wanted to share a little bit more behind the why, the impact that we saw with the AI scheduler. We realized it really in 3 focus areas: our candidate experience, our recruiter capacity, and our speed to hire. So just like you saw in that demo, a candidate was able to schedule and receive a confirmation within about a minute, less than a minute upon receiving the invitation. That gives our recruiters the time back to do what matters most, connecting with the candidate, having those meaningful conversations with them and nurturing them throughout the hiring process. Then that really contributes to our speed to hire. So depending on the work group or the requisition, we're seeing a reduction in our speed to hire of 1 to 3 days, which is really meaningful when you're thinking about bringing on 7,000 new employees just this year. Our AI scheduling implementation and rollout, our great partners at Phenom were with us every step of the way. Across so many work groups, we had to create those customized workflows, that custom branded communication, and do a lot of kind of testing scenarios with okay, what happens when we have hiring managers that want to do multiple panel interviews, what happens with rescheduling. So our testing was pretty robust. They were our partners with the technology implementation piece of it internally at Southwest as well. But with the growth that we've seen in TA at Southwest as well, we have leveraged our relationship with Phenom to dive into those knowledge-based articles, make sure that we're providing the resources that our recruiters need, and recurrent training, to which we've identified through our reporting and analytics dashboard who are our top users in the tool. And those are our Phenom Scheduler champions that are more independent, smaller teams within talent acquisition can go to as a resource, so that it's not just Allie and I's team answering all the questions, because there's 300 of them and we love them, but there's only 2 and a few of us on the recruitment marketing team. So really excited that we were able to kind of put that process in place. And then, of course, Allie now will share a little bit more about the candidate experience impact.
Yeah, so not only has AI scheduling been majorly impactful for the recruiter experience, but it's really given us the opportunity to provide that best-in-class candidate experience as well. So with AI scheduling, our candidates have been able to receive that immediate interview confirmation email, just like you saw. It's nearly instantaneous. So, if a candidate wants to schedule on their own time outside of business hours, they don't have to wait for the back and forth with the recruiter. They're going to get that confirmation immediately. Similarly, if they need to cancel or reschedule, they can easily go into the appointment and do so at the click of a button, which just gives them the flexibility to own that time and that space, and give time back for both the recruiter and the candidate. As Joanna was speaking to just a little bit ago, we've also been able to streamline our communications. Our recruitment marketing team owns all of the candidate communication they receive, and we've been able to establish consistent branding and a communication experience throughout the candidate interview process. And finally, the bot not only provides that communication for, confirmation emails, but it also is programmed to respond to other inquiries from candidates. So if a candidate has a question about, hey, remind me who I'm interviewing with, the bot can respond and provide that information to them, and again, on their own time. So if a recruiter is, logged off for the day, they don't have to be waiting for a response from the recruiter. They're going to get that right away from the bot, which just provides the candidate with that experience that really gives them everything that they're looking for.
It's such a cool feature. I love it.
Another feature that we have been using since we implemented AI scheduling is analytics. And we have been using analytics to gauge and report on adoption for our leadership. So they're able to keep a close pulse on their team's usage of the tool. And us on the recruitment marketing team or leaders are able to then dive in and provide additional resources or additional support if needed, if we're noticing areas where we could up our usage with the tool. As Joanna was speaking to earlier, we also have recognized our top users in the tool and have utilized them as Phenom champions to go into their teams to provide tips and tricks and really hands-on support for the people they're working with closely.
First line of defense.
So we do send out a bi-weekly report on all of this information where we identify our top users, recognize them for really excelling in their use of the tool. We also call out the KPIs and any trends that we've seen over the last 2 weeks. I do want to take a moment to shout out our incredible Phenom partners because they have just been really wonderful too in keeping an eye on our adoption, providing us with the resources we need to make sure that we're using this tool and making the most of it. So their support has really been huge for us here too.
Yeah, so if you've ever heard of Pendo, submitting ideas to Pendo, do it. They love it and will make a lot of those things happen.
Another feature that is so advantageous for us has been the ability to customize our candidate interview availability email or the candidate interview confirmation email. So we've used this to provide our candidates with information that's specific to the role they've applied to and specific to the type of interview that they'll be a part of. So going into their interviews, the candidates know exactly what to expect. And this example shown here, we customized the confirmation email for our customer support and services representative role. And we included a link to a landing page about the position. We hyperlinked that right into the confirmation email so that candidates could go in and learn about the position, study up, be prepared for their interview, and be able to speak to that information during their upcoming interview. So we're meeting our candidates where they're at, providing them with the resources that they're wanting to see and wanting access to, and making sure that it's accessible to them.
Yes, and finally, our outcome slide for 2022. We used the tool to schedule over 30,000 interviews and saw a time savings of just over 3,000 hours, a 63% reduction that allowed us to have the capacity to have an additional 1,000 interviews a month for talent acquisition. And I will call it out that only about half of our team is using this tool right now on a day-to-day basis, just because some of them support very niche work group or blitzes that the tool doesn't currently support our way of doing it, but we've got some enhancements coming down the roadmap. Again, the shout out to Pendo and working closely with great partners like Phenom to enable those enhancements for us and then increase the adoption that Ali has mentioned, that we report up to our leaders and work with Phenom to kind of increase that adoption as well. We've seen a reduction of speed to hire of, anywhere from 1 to 3 days, on average 2 to 3. On the right side of the screen, you kind of see our monthly scheduler usage. Again, we are on pace to hire 7,000 new employees, so we are staying very busy. But we love that this tool, it's taking less than a day for a candidate to schedule an interview, for them to get on the phone or face-to-face on a video interview with one of our recruiters and get the process moving. So we're really proud of these results. We're so excited about some of the enhancements that are on the roadmap with Phenom Scheduler and just what's to come. So I think with that, we're finished up with our presentation.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate the story, certainly appreciate the numbers, the partnership. It's been an amazing experience for us, and certainly working with all of you and your partners at Southwest, it's been absolutely phenomenal. And so, love the story. Obviously, being able to give people time back into their days to do other work that they need to complete is very important, and we love that we're able to provide positive impacts for you. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
At this point, I will open it up to see if there's any questions from the floor, to see if there's anything we can answer for you. Go ahead.
During or following your initial rollout, did you experience any challenges on the hiring manager side? with scheduling, so getting them integrated and sharing their calendars or following through with their
Sure, that's a great question. With this tool, what's so great, it's integrated within our Office 365 environment, so it has the ability to read our hiring manager calendars and our recruiter calendars very seamlessly, and so that there wasn't too much of a challenge there. That was just standard out of the box. I think one of the challenges that we saw was definitely that kind of change curve for our hiring managers, where at once when we were doing manual scheduling, a recruiter would block that hiring manager's time and send out one link. I'm thinking video interviews right now was probably the most challenging or change curve wise, that they had one link for candidates to jump in and out of throughout the day, whereas now Phenom Scheduler will create individual appointments for each candidate interview, which honestly is a better candidate experience in my perspective, so that they're not waiting, wondering if something is going on. They've got their individual link, and it's just more secure that way as well, so that we don't have potential candidates kind of jumping in with each other. I don't know, Allie, if there's anything that you want to add to hiring manager challenges.
Yeah, I think our recruiters have been able to work with the tool and our hiring manager as well, in the sense that they're some are even able to, as Mark was showing earlier, block that time. If the hiring manager has specified they want a specific date or time, they can still reserve that time to meet the hiring manager's needs.
Yeah.
So it's been a flexible tool for us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go ahead. Yep.
Probably not a popular question for Phenom, but you mentioned that a part of your team, I guess the other half of the team, is not able to use the current tool in its current state. What's stopping them from using it?
Sure. So this is one of the things that, it's just about to be rolled out. So literally our adoption rate's about to jump up so much. We're so excited about. It's candidate interview slots. So in our current state, our slots have to be tied to a recruiter calendar. We do a lot of high volume at Southwest with our pilot interviews or flight attendant interviews, where we just want 10, 20, 30 candidates to all show up at 10, 10:30, 11, and so on. But our recruiters fluctuate, so we can't tie that to a specific recruiter calendar. It just needs to be tied to a slot. Lua, I don't know if you want to talk a little bit more about the group interview slots that are coming with.
Can you take that?
Yeah, the group interview,
Pass it to Mark.
everyone looking down here. So the group interview scheduling flexibility is going to take care of this challenge,
Yeah.
where it's scheduling multiple people, meaning external candidates, to one specific time slot, and then you can run that against an actual time block, so it's not to an integrated calendar.
Yeah.
So we're rolling that out for Southwest. It's available today, and it's an exciting new feature.
Yeah,
sure.
We're very excited about it.
Great question. Yes.
Hi, just wondering about your SMS capability with actually the confirmation with the candidate, or even the full scheduling experience. It felt like a lot of the examples that you shared were all email driven, so what options are there to really
Sure.
connect with healthcare workers that work around the clock that aren't on an email or computer, and we need to get them in a text?
Yeah, absolutely. That is an enhancement that's coming that we're very excited about. But what we do currently at Southwest is, because we have SMS integrated into the CRM and are looking at the candidates that we invite for interviews, we will select the candidates that we've just invited and immediately send SMS communication touch points, if they're opted in, to let them know, hey, we've invited you to an interview. Please check your email. We'd love to speak with you soon. So that is a little bit of a manual process, but as you saw in Mark's demo, it's a bulk action. It's seamless, takes moments. And Mark, if you want to give a little bit more light on the SMS capability coming.
Yeah, you hit the nail on the head. It's the ability to trigger an SMS outreach to schedule is an enhancement that is going to be here soon.
Thank you again for coming out today. If you have any questions, please do follow up with us and we'll ask you to get us anything.